We will now move on to our final bill for the day. This will be from Representative Hicks. It will be House File 813. Representative Hicks, would you move your bill and proceed with your presentation?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Committee. I move to refer House File 813 to Human Services Finance.
Thank you. Go ahead with your presentation, and then I understand you have testifiers that we'll go to after you're done.
I do. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. Before you today is House File 813, a bill brought forward, again, by ARM, the Trade Association for Residential Waiver Service Providers. The bill does two things. First, it would provide $1,000 for recruitment and retention bonuses for every one of the 30,000 direct support professionals currently working and incentivize an additional 13,000 individuals to join our workforce. Second, the bill provides $4 million in appropriation for DEED to develop and implement a multi-pronged public awareness campaign aimed to bring employees into the caring professions, including DSPs, but also all of our caring professions, which we've heard are in dire need. We've heard over and over again in this committee about the catastrophic impact that the current workforce shortage is having on supporting people with disabilities. We know that group homes are closing, people living on their own are being left without services for long periods of time, sometimes ending up in the hospital, and that employment services have growing wait lists. We cannot ignore these issues. Direct support professionals have an unbelievably difficult job. I was a direct support professional for 19 years and understand the importance of that care. They do everything from administering medications, helping with money management, providing transportation, crisis intervention, supporting people with their intimate care needs, assisting with learning new life skills, and supporting integrated competitive employment. Direct support professionals are there for the people they support during wonderful times and hard and scary times. They're there to celebrate and to support. And yet these critical staff make an average wage of just over $15 an hour. The vacancy rate is one of the highest in the state, with over 30%. This impacts direct support professionals who don't leave by requiring them to work extra shifts or help out whenever they are needed. I've heard personal stories from friends who have worked 24 hours straight. We as a state need to show these valuable employees that they are seen and appreciated. We can do this through our long-term investments and through many of the bills that we've heard in this committee and in finance, and through one-time investments like this bill. Talk to any DSP and they will tell you that they do the work they do because of the people they get to support. We are losing these incredible staff because they cannot afford to stay in our profession. This legislation aims to help them out financially and at the same time raise the profile of this incredibly rewarding profession. With that, I will turn it over to my testifiers to provide more information about the bill and the impact it will have.
Good afternoon. We have Sarah Grastrom returning. If you'd like to once again introduce yourself for the record and begin your testimony.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Sarah Grafstrom. I'm the Director of State and Federal Policy with ARM. Our members provide residential services through the 4 disability waivers. We support people living in many different settings, from community residential settings to people's own home or family home to people living in an ICFDD. While each service is different and each home unique, they have one thing in common. Every service is on the verge of collapse because we don't have staff. I was recently talking to one of our members who shared with me the story of how he got started in the field. He shared that he started as a direct support professional while in college. He said he did not make a lot of money, but it was comparable to other jobs at restaurants or retail that he was considering. And through his position as a DSP, he was able to gain experience working with individuals with disabilities that ended up guiding him into his career in the field now. This member's story is no different than many that I talk to. How can we attract direct support professionals into our field when they are paid considerably less than similar jobs outside the field? What will the downstream impact be in 2, 5, or 10 years when we don't have experienced, skilled staff? The time to act is now. Another member recently shared with me that as an organization, they consistently have 40 to 50 open positions on a base fully staffed employee count of just under 200. These consistently open positions not only limit the amount of support and services the organization can provide, they have created an ongoing level of stress for all employees that is unhealthy and unsustainable. These employees have been asked to take on a rising workload with no foreseeable end in sight, causing the loss of experienced and valuable employees who choose to find other employment rather than work under these circumstances. House File 813 is one piece of the broader workforce solution. First and foremost, as Representative Hicks stated, we need to pass reimbursement increases that raise DSP wages, but we also need to show our current staff that they are valued and find new ways to bring them into the profession. House File 813 provides a $1,000 retention or recruitment benefit for every DSP across the state. We estimate that we currently have 30,000 DSPs in our workforce with a reported vacancy rate of over 30%, leaving approximately 13,000 DSP positions open. House File 813 also contains language that allocates $4 million to DEED to work with our stakeholders in launching a multi-year, multifaceted public awareness campaign. Our goal is simple. We aim to attract workers into the caring professions. Modeled after a similar campaign that was launched in Ohio, we plan to tell stories in a variety of ways and mediums, including television, billboards, radio, social media, etc. You have heard over and over in various settings that our caring professions in Minnesota are experiencing severe workforce challenges. Providers continue to use all the tools in their toolbox, using job sites like Indeed, job fairs, and word of mouth, but it is not enough. What we are proposing with this appropriation is to take it up a notch in a big way. Make the caring profession something that people hear about on multiple platforms and can envision themselves participating in as a career. Our ultimate goal is having a broad-based public campaign to heighten the awareness of the caring professions and to attract new workers into the various health and human service sectors. The proposal calls for DEED to convene stakeholders as well as work with the creative service company to develop the right concept and zero in on the right platforms. Our initial ideas for content include focusing on high school graduates, a delivery person, a mother going back to work, etc. Throughout the PSA, you can get the sense that they are looking for a more meaningful career where they can help their fellow Minnesotans. We need to draw back the curtain and show why a career in the caring profession is rewarding, fulfilling, and something that is deeply appreciated. With that, I know we have other testifiers that can talk about the direct impact that they are seeing in their communities, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Cindy Ostrowalski. If you could please introduce yourself and who you're with, and then you could start your testimony. Welcome to the committee.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you so much for your time today. My name is Cindy Ostrowski. I'm the CEO for Hiawatha Homes in Rochester, Minnesota. We provide home and community-based services to people throughout Olmsted County in residential support services and in unit-based out-of-home respite care services. We've been providing services for 46 and a half years. I am here today to ask you for your support and your commitment to people with disabilities in Minnesota and their direct support professionals. By investing in House File 813, you'll be helping recruit and retain our state's most valuable resources, our direct support professionals and frontline supervisors. By supporting House File 813, you will also be assisting with employment and economic development to help develop and implement awareness and building campaigns to recruit new direct support professionals to the field. The workforce crisis continues to be very real. You've heard that several times today, but it is very real. And it is drastically affecting the people we support. It's affecting people with disabilities in our community. And it's affecting how we provide services, the quality of our services, and how many people we can support throughout our community. Throughout the years, we have witnessed the number of direct support professionals decline significantly. In 2014, Hiawatha Homes employed 400 employees. 341 were direct support professionals. In 2018, we employed 303 employees, of whom 242 were direct support professionals. We ended the year in 2022 With only 254 employees, 198 were direct support professionals. Hiawatha Homes is just one of hundreds of providers who have been forced to close residential homes and/or move people together in homes, thus reducing the number of people we can support in our community. Since 2018, we have closed 3 residential homes and consolidated individuals together, but still we've had to reduce the number of people we serve. Today, we are supporting 22 fewer people in residential homes than we did in 2014. Today, we are only able to support 5 individuals and families in our out-of-home respite care program instead of 30 to 35 people in our family support services program. Sadly, our respite home remains closed since March of 2020. With fewer direct support professionals, we have had to turn people away who need services. From January 1st to January 23rd of this year, we have had 10 people and families call, waiting for services, looking for a residential home, or looking for some respite care on the weekend for their loved ones. And we've had to say, I'm sorry, no, we cannot support you. We just do not have enough staff to help you. Each and every year, like many other providers, Hiawatha Homes works diligently to both recruit new team members and retain our team members. They're very skilled team members, and they work very hard. But unfortunately, when other healthcare providers in our area or businesses raise their wages, our team members need to leave in order to care for themselves and better care for their families. In 2019, we hired 134 team members, yet 152 left. In 2020, we hired 154 new team members, yet 172 left. Overall that year, we lost 18 employees. In 2021, we spent double our recruitment budget, and we hired 191 team members, and 180 left. In January 2022, although the state of Minnesota rolled out a new reimbursement rate of $16.33, minus the regional variance for our county, we increased our starting wages on May 29th of 2022 to $17 an hour for all new direct support professionals and $18.50 an hour for our DSP floats and our team leaders. In 2022, we implemented 2 appreciation and retention bonuses. This did help. We had a gain of 9 direct support professionals for the year. Yet, today, we are still in need of hiring at least 30 full-time DSPs. To help support our team members and to keep the people we support safe, we have been forced to hire contracted employees, which means a higher cost to provide services. Our direct support professionals, our floats, our team leaders, our house coordinators, our program managers, our nurses have all worked diligently to fill open hours. Yet our overtime hours continue to grow, forcing the cost of services once again higher. In 2021, our team members worked approximately 31,300 overtime hours. In 2022, our overtime hours were approximately 30,000 overtime hours. Contracted hours and overtime hours are expensive, and like many other support providers across the state, Hiawatha Homes will be experiencing a significant budget deficit in 2023 just to continue to provide the service that we do today. We must all work together to value direct support professionals. We must all work together to retain direct support professionals and to grow the profession and to increase the number of direct support professionals in our workforce. Without our direct support professionals and frontline supervisors, we cannot provide quality services. We cannot provide person-driven services to people with disabilities across the state of Minnesota. Please hear us. Please join us in sending an important message and a well-deserved message to all direct care staff that they are valued, that they are appreciated for their dedication and hard work to others. Please help us preserve services to people with disabilities across our state of Minnesota. The time is now. our 2023 legislative session to invest in House File 813 and stop the downward trend of highly skilled direct support professionals leaving this profession. We need to value our direct support professionals by investing in this workforce incentive grant program, and we need to increase the number of DSPs across our state. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your service to Minnesota.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Jasmine Fury. If you'd like to come forward. Welcome to the committee. Please introduce yourself and start your testimony, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committee members. My name is Jasmine Fury, and I'm a supervisor at Bear Creek Services in a community residential setting. I started out as a DSP in 2007. Working with individuals with traumatic brain injuries, I found a career that I never knew I wanted. I didn't make a lot of money, but my job was rewarding. It's rewarding in ways that you and I have taken for granted. Working with an individual who loved the idea of baking, but didn't have the encouragement that she should, she cracked her first egg in her life with me. We're proud of the cupcakes that we made that day. What's better, she was proud of herself. We strive to assist individuals with all kinds of abilities with realizing they can do the things that they want. We just have to be creative. This is just one of the supports that suffers because we don't have the staff to support our individuals. I have worked countless 100-hour weeks, both as a DSP and as a supervisor. There have been countless nights that I've missed dinner with my husband, or he's asleep when I get home, or nights that I don't even come home. There have even been instances where I look at my husband and tell him, I'll see you Wednesday afternoon, when it's Sunday evening. Most everyone in this room has the ability to go home to their families at the end of the workday to share a meal or begin their day with their families and significant others. We don't always have that opportunity. We have lost countless employees in this field due to an overwhelming workload and zero work-life balance. Our jobs can be mentally and physically exhausting, and we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've had a staff member share with me that her 17-year-old son made more money than she did at Walmart, $15 an hour, while she was just above 12. How is that fair? Our part-time employees are working full-time hours when they don't want these hours. They can't afford to have these hours because they have small children at home that they have to care for. This is something that we are facing every day. They are not saying no because they know just how much of a shortage that we are in. This bill will help show that the caring and compassionate individuals that we have working in this field, that we are valued. The work that we are doing matters, that we get to help and support, that we get the help and support that we need to be able to do our best work for the individuals that we serve. They are people too, and they deserve our best efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing what your stories and your experiences with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have Francis Tom. I don't know if I got the last name right, but please come forward. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for being here. Please introduce yourself, who you're with, and start your testimony, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Frances Cham. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for Residential Provider Association of Minnesota, or RPAMN. I'm here to testify today in support of HF813 and the concept of recruitment and retention bonuses for home and community-based service and other disability service providers. RPAMN is a 501c6 nonprofit trade association that represents small residential customized living and waiver service providers in Minnesota. Our organization was formed in 2021 in response to a series of massive changes to the regulatory and reimbursement landscape in which our members operated. RPAMN has roughly over 200 providers, members, and subscribers with vast majority being BIPOC-owned, culturally specific service provider who might not otherwise be engaged in the policy development and legislative processes. The vast majority of RPAMM members were formed following the 2009 moratorium on new licensed community residential settings, or CRS beds, and serving clients in single-family homes as either an MDH licensed home care company or, in recent years, as assisted living facility. However, in recent years, many RPAMM members have become licensed under the 245D to provide HCBS services like Integrated Community Support, or ICS. Also, since 2021, other RPAMM members have sought 245D license to take advantage of the time-limited exception to the CRS moratorium. While a substantial backlog in the DHS licensing division has caused extended delays in securing 245D licenses, RPAMM believes HF813 who support many of its members as we seek to recruit and retain workers. Like others who have spoken before this committee, we continue to struggle to compete with large retailers and other organizations who, because they are able to increase their prices, are able to offer higher wages and benefits to employees. It seems like as soon as we are able to hire someone and get them trained, we'll lose them to another provider. The high turnover increases our administrative costs, including fingerprint, background checks, and staff onboarding, and puts stress on existing employees to maintain or increase level of service. We hope that as the legislative session advances, we can look at ways to ensure all types of disability service providers, including those culturally specific currently seeking 245D licenses, are able to secure support for their recruitment and retention efforts. Thank you for the time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to testify on House File 813? Seeing none, we will go to members' questions and comments. We'll start off with Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank the testifiers today. This is really a challenge. It's an issue. Everybody who spoke today is spot on. They are not paid enough. That's the bottom line. And they're having a hard time. And this is an idea. Bills are ideas, right? And we want to bring them here, and we want to try to get them to work. As an employer myself, I've had bonus programs, and some have worked well, some have not. My question is, because this is a government program, I'm nervous how this is going to get deployed. So I have a couple questions, Mr. Chair. So to either the author or Sarah, are these checks going to get distributed after somebody becomes eligible? Let's say an employee is going to be with a provider for a minimum of X. And then what just help me through that process of when do these folks get rewarded with a $1,000 check? How long do they have to work? And then I've got a few more follow-ups.
Representative Hicks.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Representative Baker. I will defer to our testifier.
Director Grafstrom.
Thank you, Chair Fisher and Representative Baker. Great question. As we were crafting this legislation, our goal was really to try to make it flexible for both the employee and employer. So it might not even be a $1,000 check that they get. There's a variety of ways listed within this legislation of uses for the bill. So if you look on line 2.1 through 2.6, these are all acceptable ways to recruit and retain employees. So it might be an incentive payment, it might be some kind of post-secondary tuition payment, childcare costs. It's really kind of looking at the employer and looking at their employees and finding meaningful ways to recruit and retain their employees. As far as a time, we don't have any time, directly in the bill. Certainly happy to talk about ways that we might want to tighten this up or make the legislation work better going forward.
Representative Baker.
Thank you. So, yep, I think what's got to be tightened up, and again, I worry about government agencies trying to do a bonus program, and they really aren't the employer out in the field. They are a pass-through, if you will, and it makes me nervous that we've got some bad players out there, and I'm saying that those are some bad employers that are going to want to, tell you've got these 25 employees and they're here for this time, and how do we verify those employers are still on staff, and how do we cross-reference that?
Representative Hicks?
Yes, thank you, and thank you so much for the question. I have a comment I want to answer, and then I want to turn over to the testifier. So my first comment is you made a really good point in that you have concerns about a government entity sort of feeling it over. But unlike every other business, they don't have any other income. We are their only income stream. And since we have not increased rates, they don't have any other way to do this. They've already depleted many of them, their foundations, they're taking out loans, right? There is no, we're going to charge 50 cents more for a cup of coffee in the disability services world. And so I just sort of want to lay the groundwork that this is different because of that. They are tied to us. And then as far as the audits and recruitment and attestations, yeah, those are on subdivision 4 and subdivision 5. So there are some safety nets in here. I agree with you. We want to make sure that we're using the taxpayers' dollars in the best way possible, and that we are making sure that folks are being responsible with that and holding them accountable to that. But I also understand that we have put providers in an impossible situation. And so trying to find an immediate solution, because although we have lots of solutions that I think are going to help us in 2024 and 2025 as we work through our larger budgets and our larger plans, we need to infuse now before we have a full systems collapse. Because if the system collapses, individuals will be in the hospital because there will not be anywhere else for them to go, and we will be paying for that as well, and there's a workforce shortage there. But we are on the verge of collapse. And so I just want to really stress that this isn't, I don't think, how any of us would have liked to do this. I think we all would have liked to have rates that were fair and comparable and appropriate for the last, that could meet the need and the changes in inflation and the changes in what our community needs. But that didn't happen. And so this is an attempt to put a solution in place now before a total collapse. And then, Sarah, if you have anything
And
else to
then
add.
Director Grafstrom.
Chair Fisher, I don't think I can add anything to that. That was excellent, thank you. But I would just, again, point to the attestation and the audit language that we put in there in an effort to make sure that providers are saying, here are the number of eligible employees we have, and then the audit that requires providers to keep records of how they use the funds, where the funds went, and giving the commissioner the appropriate authority to go back and ask for those records.
Representative Baker.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And I agree with everything. I want all this money to go right to the employees. I think $4 million is sort of ridiculous for a marketing plan when the best recruiters are current workers in those fields. They're the ones who are going to do this, and that $4 million should go to the workers. The $43 million times 2, $86 million, we should get that to the employees by rates per hour. I think that's what we all want. It's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
And I get that. I just know that creating more agency, more stuff, more, somebody else to manage this, when we've got a lot of concerns of how do we manage the monies and the grants going out now from different agencies. So we're creating something. I know these are ideas. I want the money to get to the employees desperately, just like our nursing homes, just like other folks that desperately need it now. And I just want people to hear us. Let's get this fixed out right away. I worry that government programs are not the best answer. It's maybe the best other option we have, and I'm willing to work with the author of this to try to help tighten this thing up. I'm hearing that's what we have to do, but I want to hold anybody accountable that's going to take $1 for anything other than labor on this thing, whether it's providers or employers, whatever that is, because they can't do that. We have to make sure that everything goes there, but it's got to be streamlined. And again, there's just a lot of moving parts here. So again, I appreciate the work because these workers really need it. And I just hope that we can find a faster way to get it to them in a way that isn't so cumbersome and creates more work for DEED and all that kind of stuff. But thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Representative Baker. And this will also be going to the Finance Committee, where we'll spend more time on this and have an opportunity to look at other language we could put in to tighten things up a little bit. Next, we have Vice Chair Frederick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Hicks, for carrying the legislation. I really appreciate your efforts in supporting workers, because I think that's very clearly what this does. But it also supports the people who are receiving care from the workers, which I think is also awesome. Do you have a concern at all about putting a cap on, or do you think that there's a need to put a cap of the money that's going to an individual employer? Just the idea behind that would be that there'd be, making sure all the, tiny little employers would also be able to have a chance at this before maybe a handful of the larger ones would be able to soak up a lot of that money.
Representative Hicks.
Yes, thank you for that question, Representative Frederick. I will direct you to line 2.9, or excuse me, 2.11, that really is about equitable distribution. That was really, really important to me, because I know we have some big employers in our state, and then we have, like we had testifiers today, some folks that maybe only support a handful of people. And so that was intentionally added to ensure that we do that and that the department does that.
Vice Chair Frederick.
I'm just grateful that you had thought about that during your development of the bill. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Next, I have Representative Karan.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Representative Hicks, for bringing this bill forward. I know we've talked a lot about things specifically in the disabilities field to figure out how we're going to just make some improvements and try to get this right. And we know that the direct support professional profession, it's certainly not a way to get rich, but we also know that doing good work out of the kindness of our hearts, it doesn't put food on the table. And I've, in my capacity in the disability services field, most recently in human resources, I know I've had the talk with applicants sort of similar to that, but trying to explain the intangible wealth that comes from working in this field. And as feel good as that is, but it goes back to, again, very difficult to support one's family with intangible wealth. So then I think about, how do we show our priorities as a state? What do we do with knowledge from our neighbors who aren't able to self-advocate? And I think when we legitimize this work as a sustainable career, we're showing that we're listening, that we greatly value the right of our community members to thrive in the home of their choosing. So I think this bill is, while of course it's not going to fix everything immediately, I think this is a really good, great interim step in the right direction to eventually get there. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Karan. And I'm not seeing any other questions. Couple things I'd like to mention is, first of all, thank you for bringing the bill forward. It's getting at some very important things. One of the things I was wondering in terms of the recruitment or possible suggestions in terms of the audit, the attestation, et cetera, is this going to be where they apply and the money is put up front, or they will apply and then the money is given to them based on actual expenses receipts that they turn in? Director Grafton.
Thank you, Chair Fisher. As the language is drafted right now, they would apply and the money would be given up front. That would be based on the number of employees that they have or current open positions of the dollars they are hoping to use to recruit. And then there is the ability for the commissioner to go in and audit and make sure that those dollars were actually used in the way that the employer applied them for.
No, thank you. And that's why I was looking at. I was looking at the audit may perform an audit up to 6 years after the grant. I know that in other state programs, they go in once a year after, when it's awarded. So I was thinking maybe that area could be tightened up a little bit more instead of being as long as 6 years afterwards, is as long as until they've exhausted the funds, is coming in once a year and doing, some kind of audit and taking a look. I think that would help get some of the issues that Representative Baker was addressing there. Not seeing any other comments or questions. Representative Hicks, would you like to make closing comments and renew your motion on House File 813?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, members, for hearing this bill. When I was 16 years old, a friend's mom was a supervisor at a group home and said, "We need young people who have a lot of energy. Do you want a job?" And I was open to that conversation, and I started working at a group home, and I fell in love. And I supported people in a variety of ways while I went to high school, while I went to college, while I started my professional career and continue to work there. I have been with people through all variety of life events, and I've cared for the same individuals from the time they were teenagers until they were grown adults. I've been with them when their parents have passed. I've celebrated birthdays. I've had them come to Vegas for my wedding. And I have enjoyed every second of it. And the amount of money that I earned, you could drop a pin at. But what I gained was life experience and a passion that has carried me through. And I bring this bill today because I want all of the people who just started in this field and who are gaining that life experience and feeling that joy to also feel that they are valued. My dad always said, you can always see what someone's priorities are if you look at their checkbook. And I look to all of you today to ask what you prioritize. And what does our checkbook show? And I thank you so much for hearing this, and I move my motion to move House File 813 to Human Services Finance.
Representative Hicks renews her motion to refer House File 813 to the Human Services Finance Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The motion prevails, and House File 813 is referred to the Human Services Finance Committee.